A play that changed history and the gay rights movement as we know it? That's right. If you've ever seen the pink triangle used as a symbol of the gay rights movement, you can thank the play Bent by Martin Sherman. Before this play came out in 1979, not much was widely known about the treatment of gays in Nazi Germany, including even the fact that they were one of the minority groups targeted by the Third Reich. Even the only book that was written on it, The Pink Triangle, The Nazi War Against Homosexuals, couldn't find a publisher until 1986, after the play premiered. This is where the pink triangle was first used as a symbol for gay men in the Holocaust, but it obviously wasn't a good thing like it is now. It was like the yellow star for Jews, except gay men were the lowest of all the prisoners in the concentration camps, and the pink triangle was the symbol they wore that condemned them to the bottom of the hierarchy, even below murderers. Thankfully now it's been reclaimed by the community, and it's because of this play that we know about it. Hello my little queerlings, my name is Ryan and I will teach you to be gay, because there's so much more to being gay than just kissing boys. It's an incredible identity and community with a vibrant history and culture that you should know. And today, we're looking at what is probably my absolute favorite play of all time, Bent by Martin Sherman. Trigger warning, this video is about the Holocaust, so it includes discussions and clips showing violence and mentions of rape, as well as other adult themes. I was lucky enough to see Bent in 2015 at the Mark Taper Forum here in downtown LA, and I still remember it so viscerally because it was so incredible and life-changing. I didn't know much about it going in, other than that it was a play about being gay during the Holocaust, but I left so moved. I saw it with my boyfriend at the time, but he's gone now, so if you're single, feel free to slide into those DMs. We also went with our lesbian friends, and it was so powerful that we were the last ones in the theater after it ended. Literally could not move. Thankfully, the dramaturg thought of how impactful the play was, and they provided little water-activated LED floating candles that you could release into the moat surrounding the theater afterwards as a way of letting go of the traumatic experience you had just had. If it's not obvious, there's going to be a lot of spoilers about the plot, but don't worry, I won't ruin the ending.
Because I love you.
If you want to know what happens, you'll have to check it out for yourselves. And I highly recommend that you do, whether that means seeing a local production, reading the play, or watching the movie, both of which I was able to do at my local library. Shout out to libraries. Let's dive right in. Before we get to the action of the story, it's important to understand some basic info about the setting. In the early 1930s, Berlin, Germany was probably the most progressive, liberal city in the world. It had 100 gay bars, 40 gay publications, and even was home to Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute for Sexual Science, the location of one of the world's first sex reassignment surgeries. When the play opens, we meet Max and his boyfriend Rudy, a dancer, in their flat the morning after a wild night in which Max brings home another man and sleeps with him. But due to a lot of alcohol and some other substances, doesn't remember much.
Here.
Unfortunately, it also happens to have been the Night of the Long Knives, an actual event that saw Hitler consolidate power and eliminate the threat of a coup by murdering several high-ranking officials, including Ernst Röhm, who was an openly gay member of the Nazi Party that often looked the other way, allowing Berlin to become a gay mecca. Back to the play, Max's trick turns out to be a handsome member of the Nazi stormtroopers, Wolfgang Granz. Yes, before Star Wars, stormtroopers were Nazi soldiers, and if you think that's a coincidence, remember that Vader means father in German. They're having that awkward morning after discussion when there's a knock at the door.
Shit.
Max and Rudy think it's their landlord, there to collect their past due rent, but it's actually the SS police. They barge in, find Wolf, and kill him, and Max and Rudy flee. And you thought you had bad hookups. They return to the club that Rudy works at to seek counsel from his boss, Greta. Greta's a drag queen who ran her own gay club, which is now shut down, likely due to new enforcements of paragraph 175. To be clear, homosexuality had been illegal in Germany since 1871, but wasn't really enforced before due to our sister Ernst and his fondness for the boys.
Oh, Ernst Röhm. I know him. He's that fat queen, friend of Hitler's.
Now gays were enemy of the state, and it was cause for immediate internment in concentration camps. The Nazis revised the law in September of 1935, which now outlawed anything as simple as men looking at or touching one another in a sexually suggestive way, and enabled authorities to arrest people, even if they had only heard rumors that people had been engaging in such behavior. Unfortunately, this law remained on the books until as late as 1994, so anyone surviving the camps when they were liberated was met with further imprisonment. Homosexuality was still illegal, which is why it didn't receive the publicity that other crimes in the camps did.
Ciao.
Greta explains that the SS approached her for information about Wolf and that she took them to Max and Rudy's apartment. She officially fires Rudy and hands Max the finder's fee she earned from the SS.
Here, I'm a true Christian.
They leave the club and Berlin behind.
Where will we go?
Max turns to his uncle Freddie, who is also gay, for help.
We aren't allowed to be fluffs anymore. We aren't even allowed to kiss or embrace.
Freddie lives a more discreet life with rent boys to satisfy his desires and has organized new papers for Max to flee to France, where homosexuality is legal. But Max refuses to leave Rudy behind.
I'd like some cocaine.
Yes.
What would you like?
New glasses.
As a result, Max and Rudy are found in a forest tent colony and arrested by the Gestapo. They're forced to board a train headed for the Dachau concentration camp. On the train, Rudy is spotted wearing glasses by an officer. The officer makes Rudy crush his glasses and then orders Rudy to be taken. Max wants to help him, but another prisoner, Horst, stops him, explaining that he will just be killed too. Rudy is beaten within an inch of his life. All the while, Max tries to ignore his screams.
It isn't happening.
It is happening.
It isn't happening.
Horst, wearing a pink triangle patch, explains the patch system to Max and tells him that he must show no sentiment towards Rudy if he wants to survive. The officer has Rudy taken back to Max and coerces Max to beat Rudy to prove that he doesn't know him. He's thrown from the train and left for dead. Max is then taken by the guards and lies to them, telling them that he is a Jew rather than a homosexual, because he believes his chances for survival in the camp will be better if he is not assigned the pink triangle. Max later confesses to Horst that the guards then forced him to have intercourse with the body of a dead preteen girl to prove that he was not homosexual. Once at the camp, Max is given a good job because of deals he makes with the guards. He has to move rocks from one pile to another and back again. It's a job designed to drive him crazy, but it's still one of the best jobs at the camp. He even bribes a guard to get Horst brought to help him, which Horst does not approve of.
Don't you think you should have asked me?
Asked you what?
If I wanted to move rocks!
They're given a rest period for 3 minutes every 2 hours, where they have to stand completely still. And so, they spend months together, moving rocks back and forth, getting to know each other.
You're not smiling.
You can't see me.
I can feel you.
In the play's most famous scene, Max and Horst make love without touching or even moving.
Feel me.
So hot.
I'm touching.
It's burning.
I'm kissing you.
Just using their imaginations to touch each other. Ultimately, they fall in love, with Max even going so far as to give fellatio to a guard in order to get Horst cough medicine when he's sick. And that's where I'm going to stop so as not to ruin it. This really is a must-see.
You went down on him.
I had to. I didn't have any money.
You touched him?
No, I just went down on him. That's what he wanted. I needed the medicine.
I'd rather cough.
It's obviously not a happy ending, but I think you'll still be caught off guard by how powerful the ending really is. Horst shows Max the dignity that lies in acknowledging who you really are.
Can I have a signal? When I rub my left eyebrow at you like this, it means I love you. I bet you didn't know that.
The play honors those who were brave enough to be out and proud when it could literally cost you your life, and the resilience of LGBTQ+ individuals during one of the darkest periods in our history. The title of the play refers to the slang word bent, used in some European countries to refer to homosexuals. It's not straight, it's bent. As I mentioned earlier, when the play was first performed, there was only a trickle of historical research or even awareness about the Nazi persecution of homosexuals. In some regards, the play helped increase that historical research and education in the 1980s and 1990s. Now, I'm sure I'm a little biased as I saw it live for the first time, and there's just something so raw and intense about the story when experienced in a theater that is difficult to replicate on the big screen.
I'm trying to tell you I'm insane, and I want to be here. Why? Because I love rock.
Both versions have their merits, but if you have a choice, I recommend seeing the play first. The absence of an elaborate set or cinematic close-ups forces you to focus on the characters and their emotions.
Look at him.
Now let's circle back to the play and its impact. Between 1933 and 1945, an estimated 100,000 men were arrested for violating paragraph 175, and it's thought that somewhere between 5,000 and 15,000 men were sent to concentration camps for reasons related to sexuality. Exactly how many died in them may never be known, between the scant documentation that survived and the sense of shame that kept many survivors silent for years after their ordeal, but it's believed around 60% of all prisoners were immediately executed. The first book written on it was written by a homosexual who fled Germany before this all began, and it's dedicated to Eric and all those who did not get away. So how did the pink triangle go from being a death sentence to a celebrated symbol of the queer rights movement? Well, what else was happening around this time in the gay community?
A mystery disease known as the gay plague has become an epidemic unprecedented in the history of American medicine.
That's right. HIV and AIDS was being discovered, originally called GRID, or Gay-Related Immune Disease. An organization called ACT UP, or the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, was a grassroots organization founded in 1987 to raise awareness about the AIDS public health crisis. They decided to use the pink triangle as their symbol, alluding to its history and declaring that, quote, silence about the oppression and annihilation of gay people then and now must be broken as a matter of our survival. Avram Finkelstein is credited with its design, which is right side up instead of the Nazi-era symbol. At the time, conservative William F. Buckley suggested that HIV/AIDS patients get tattoos to warn partners in a 1986 New York Times op-ed. Sound familiar? Finkelstein says the article was a galvanizing moment at a time when there was public discussion of putting gay men into concentration camps to keep the epidemic from spreading. So there you have it. Gay people use the pink triangle today as a reminder of the past and a pledge that history will not repeat itself. I'd like to thank my sponsor for this episode, All Shade Tees. Be sure to check them out at allshadetees.com for some fabulous, flirty, and shady shirts. Category is Sassy Chic Realness. If you've seen Ben, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and as always, stay fabulous.